The Council of Seven Lights, by George W. Van Tassel. Publication date 1958. This book is within the public domain. Audiobook format by The Matrix Minds. The Table of Contents. Book Introduction. Chapter 1, The Missing Link. Chapter 2, Invisible Gears. Chapter 3, The Sons of God. Chapter 4, Trinity of Infinity. Chapter 5, Unseen Scales. Chapter 6, The Angels of Space. Chapter 7, Prodigal Mother. Chapter 8, Methuselah's Toy. Chapter 9, The Sword of Damocles. Chapter 10, The False Chariot. Welcome to Chapter 9, The Sword of Damocles. I have explained that nearly everyone on this old earth has the more or less dormant potential to communicate by thought. Like learning to play the piano, or learning to become a master of any trade, sport, or other activity, the use of thought communication can only be accomplished by regular, continuous practice. The space people use instrumentation in the thought contacts with people only to ensure positive reception and to maintain power through conditions that could otherwise interrupt the reception. They think into a device they call an audiphone. This receiver in turn transmits through projector they call an omnibeam. The omnibeam can be focused on any individual or a group of people. This projecting of thoughts is mentioned throughout the Bible. Voices coming from heaven. The Lord speaking unto Moses and many others, including the voice of God coming to Jesus. The space people have explained that they can only focus this beam safely on people who have devoted much time to an awareness of open perception. Otherwise, the beam can be dangerous to the physical health of anyone that cannot stand its powerful vibratory transmission. One person has the power of one and can normally only contact one other individual. Here on the Earth, one power of thought is sufficient in the Earth's magnetic field to contact any one other individual who is receptive at the time, anywhere on the Earth's surface. Thought projection by one person must be done by concentrating upon the individual you wish to receive your thought. Thinking his name and what he looks like must be pictured in the projector's mind several times. Then the thought you wish to transmit must be concentrated upon several times. This is for beginners. After one becomes adept at projection, only one thought person, picture in the projector's mind will be necessary. The thought will not be projected to the one of whom you are thinking until you release the thought. In other words, after the concentration you must immediately forget what you were projecting and think of anything else. As long as you hold the thought in your mind, it will not reach the one you are projecting to. Unless the person you are projecting to is in a receptive state, he may not receive the thought. To be receptive, you must make your mind a blank. Do not think of anything while trying to receive the thoughts of others. With continuous practice, your projective and receptive ability will become apparent to you. The power of thought can be increased by the increase in the number of people. One person has 1 power. 2 people have 8 power. 3 people have 512 power. This power cubes its resultant to the maximum of 12 people. This is the formula Jesus gave to the people when the creative spirit spoke through him, saying, "When 2 or more are gathered in my name, there am I also." This is the force that the Supreme Intelligence used to think the universe into being. Nothing can be manifested without first being thought of by someone. As I have said, 3 people have the projective force of 512 power. 4 people increase it to 134,217,700. When 12 people combine the thought force in unity, on any purpose, that purpose will be accomplished. This is the reason Jesus did not select his disciples from among the intellectuals of his day. He would have had too many fixed ideas to undo in their minds. Instead, he picked common people from among the multitudes, only one of which could even write. He knew that it would be easier to use the power of 12 simple-minded people than to undo the dogma, custom, and religious illusions established in the minds of the learned. Most of the acts Jesus performed were done through the concentrated power of his 12 disciples, with Jesus controlling this tremendous power. These acts have been termed miracles by people who didn't understand them. There are no miracles. Everything comes about by the natural laws of cause and effect. Thought is the causal force of all effects. Thought is of positive polarity predominance, as it is a causal or projective force. In the physical level of negative polarity predominance, thought cannot manifest by itself. Polarity requires that two poles be active to manifest a result. A battery with only a positive pole will not produce current. Duality is required in equal and opposite forces in order to manifest action as the resultant. Motion can only be when unbalance exists. That which is in balance cannot move of itself. Some other force must cause the action. This is why the expression of God helps those that help themselves is a universal law. The Bible tells you that God rested on the seventh day. Nowhere does it tell you that God started creating again. It says that God completed his works. This means that God is still resting, and can only be manifested through man, who was given dominion over all things. This in itself is proof of reincarnation. God made the race of man and then rested. Everyone of the race of man was created simultaneously. No one is older or younger than another. When God rested, creation was terminated by God. Birth of babies on the earth is only the repetition of their eternal creation here, or somewhere else in the universe, before. Death is only the departure from negative polarity manifestation to positive polarity manifestation. Life is only manifested through the interchange of motion through the unbalanced opposites. God is no thing. If God were a thing, God would have individuality and could not be infinite, for individuality is only a part of everything. God is referred to as He, the Father, etc., by the Church. This nullifies God's infinity and gives male gender to God. This excludes everything feminine and of negative polarity. The Church would have God in the image of man, rather than man in the image of God. To use God power, you must bring it out of stillness and manifest it through expression, or motion, to produce a given result. In giving man dominion over all things except his fellow men, God expected you to use the infinite intelligence of universal being to manifest results. Why did Jesus say he came to bring the word? He could have easily communicated with anyone he wanted to by thought, but he said he came to bring the word. The reason was that he knew the power of God. Rest could only be manifested in a predominantly negative polarity level of life by an equal interchange of thought positive polarity and expression negative polarity. It is not my intention to prove this formula to you, but rather to let your reason and experiences prove it to yourself. Look back through your experiences and recall if the following has happened to you before. Apply it now and make it work now. God's power has no limits except those that man creates. Think regularly every night between 6 p.m. and midnight of something you need. This is projecting positive thought by concentration into the negative polarity receptive lines of force, which alone are active in this quarter of the 24-hour rotation of the Earth. Then during the time from 6 a.m. to noon, which is the positive quarter relative to the projective positive polarity lines of force, express in words that you do not want the things you thought about during the 6 p.m. to midnight quarter. By attraction, positive thought to negative force and negative expression, the word to positive force, you can receive that which you have put the forces of the universe in motion for. This should be done regularly, night and morning, for 28 consecutive days, one magnetic month, and then release it by forgetting entirely about it. This can be used for others, especially if you do not tell them what you are doing for them. Telling them will bring their mind action into play and will interfere with the results. Once this formula is applied exactly as given, nothing in the universe can prevent the results from manifesting. You must think what you need, or others need, and use the word, or the power of opposite polarity, and patiently wait for the result after forgetting about it or releasing it into God's hands. The Creator caused the universe to be. Then all was given unto the dominion of man throughout the universe. Man, using the force of thought, can create new things for progression, or create new things for destruction. Thought is the prime force and is neutral. Words are the effect of thoughts, whether they be good or bad. Words are in the range of our physical hearing. They are the means by which thoughts are conveyed between people with sound. Various languages convey the same meaning by different sounds. There have been many arguments, discussions, and efforts to prove that things and people not seen in our life level can be materialized. The Bible tells many times about angels appearing before people, apparently out of thin air. To believe in the Bible of Christianity, with the concept that angels appeared in olden time, and cannot appear in our time, is certainly bull-headed orthodoxy. This is primarily done by some Christians who do not want angels to interfere with the selfish ways and pleasures. Much has been said about the space people of today materializing and dematerializing on several occasions. I can truthfully say that I have seen and talked with one of them that instantly disappeared to my vision, but I could still feel him when I touched where I had just seen him. Just as orthodoxy places limits on people's thinking, so does your physical sense of sight place limits on your seeing. Your eyes can only see within the range of the visible spectrum, about 4,000 to 7,800 angstroms in wavelength measurement. You cannot see the air, yet you breathe it. You can see water in its fluid density and its vaporous density, but when the steam is absorbed in the air, you cannot see it. Vibrations from about 20 to nearly 20,000 cycles a second can be heard with the ears. Vibrations below our hearing level are called infrasonic, and those above it, ultrasonic. Because the 5 lower senses all have limits, people's thinking has become narrowed into a groove that will not allow them to accept anything that is not within their limitations. Many of the space people live in frequencies of life beyond the human limits. By using methods developed by them, they can bring the body vibrations inside our visual limits as easily as we can condense unseen moisture out of the air into water, and then freeze it into ice. Many spiritualist mediums can materialize people from beyond the door of death. Do not let yourself be confused, however, with these ectoplasmic figures, or the words spoken through them. All figures of people generated through the ectoplasm of another person are from the transition or earthbound level, or are created from the mind of the medium. This is not to be scoffed at, as the power to create from the mind is a great one indeed. None of the space people from other levels of life are ever materialized through a medium. It is not possible to bring through ectoplasmic means anyone from beyond the Earth's force field. In order to progress to the finer frequencies of life in other levels, you must first know where you stand in this level. The creative spirit so designed his light universe that nothing can exceed its individual vibratory qualifications. Your individual record is being made daily by the way you live. Everything you think, say, or do is recorded in your aura. In the life following this one, you will only be able to progress to the highest level in which your light record will vibrate. No one is going to judge you but yourself, and you will be faced with the results of the record you established here. You must conform in the way you live to the laws of the universe. The densities are established by different vibratory frequencies of light. You can qualify to jump grades by the way you live here now. I am the voice, O man, speaking in the stillness of your being. The righteous recognize my voice. My call is to those whose ears are deaf to my withenness. I plead eternally, that all may hear the me in you eventually. In the pattern of my doings I bring you pain and joy, that you may feel me in the contrast of your senses. Never shall I cease to call to those who live in darkness. Though my patience is infinite, I suffer because of your sins. When you hear me in another, listen. Do not shy from me in the disguise of raucous laughter. The ones who live in the clamor of confusion to hide from me are only adding sorrow to tomorrow. Sir, I make each tomorrow a today, that your memory of yesterday shall make my voice the louder from out of the silence of an added day you spent alone. I have extended the light to manifest my creations from thought of me, and perpetuated motion throughout eternity. Each motion to bring an effect, and every effect to cause by repetition in an endless pattern of my doings. I ended my work of bringing about, and made the Oman to carry continuity. My infinite watching is directed to see my image of instrumentality, which is the Oman. Whenever you sing, my heart sings too, through joy of your emotion. And when you assist another, the act of thee is devotion to me, and from me through thee. Whenever you sorrow, I am sad too, each thrill you feel is transmitted to me. I too am ignored when you fail to see the me in others around you. Though you are effect of my cause. O man, intelligent image of me, I only exist as effect of you whenever you cause me to be an extension through thee. Then am I active, then do I live, when you give effect to my cause in the love of me through each day of my days eternally. End of chapter.